Hey everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today we're going to be checking some grafts. This could go one of two ways, either amazing or this video is never going to actually get posted. So if you're seeing it and you're watching it, it probably went well. Anywho, so this year with grafting has been probably the worst year out of the last, I don't know how many years, but it's just like the acceptance and the take on everything has been really bad. We had one that I think I ended up just taking 2 of them out of 45. That's awful. And I think, I tell people this all the time. A lot of the time people think that they're just awful at grafting. Maybe that's the case, I don't know, but a lot of the times it comes down to the cell builder and they're just not ready to build queen cells and they're just not good at it. So we finally found one that I think is going to be our cell builder for the next couple of rounds, but this is actually an Apame box. Now I used to do grafting in a lot of Apame boxes. We had just a 7 frame, I think it was, and I love it. It's really good. It works really well with just grafting in general, especially if you're going to do it a little bit earlier in the year, which is what we did, because weather's always a problem with anything in beekeeping. Now with these Apame boxes, you don't have to deal with it whatsoever because they're insulated. They have all the features to it. You can feed them. It's already built in, and I actually have a link if you want to use that. Do I have a code? What is it? Is it Natalie?
Maybe.
We don't know. So I'm going to put that in the description next to the link. If you want to use that to get a little discount, feel free to. But anyways, Apame, I've talked about them before. They're just really good and they're expensive, but they're worth the price for sure. So anyway, I recommend them for queen grafting for sure. Okay, so these are JZBZ cells protectors. I'm going to use these today on these cells because we pull them out pretty much as immediately as they cap them. Like as soon as they do it, we pull those cells out and put them into an incubator. That way we can go ahead and graft right away and we're always having cells going. So these cells will be used in the next couple of weeks for sure. Now with these, I want to talk about these for a second here because one thing you'll notice with these little like prongs right here, you want to get the 4 prongs. Don't get the 2 because they don't fit into these bars. So like this one, it just slides right in and it like when you move it, it's not going to fall out. With those 2-prong ones, they're a little bit bigger and they just don't fit in there, so they fall out all the time and it's really annoying. So if you're going to get these, I recommend doing the 2 bars, or I mean the 4 ones. That way they just fit a little bit better. And then we have just these also. I think we got these from, I don't know. But I'll put that in the link too if I can find it. Is it Man Lake?
I think so.
I think it's Man Lake. I think you can get some of these off of Amazon too. But also if we're transporting them or shipping them, or what, we don't really ship queens, but if we are taking them somewhere or meeting someone, I like to use the battery boxes. Those work really well too, and the 4-prong just fit really good in those. All right, let's get to the fun part. I'm really scared to do this. Most of the cells that we have, most of the grafts that I've done, I haven't checked them for like a week after they've been in there because I'm just too scared to do it because I know it's probably not going to be the best take. One thing about these bees here though, they actually randomly went queenless. I don't know what happened. They were doing really good and all of a sudden they just kind of went crazy and started building bees and they were doing really well. So we put them into this hive, this box here, and then all of a sudden they went queenless and it didn't have anything to do with us because we had checked it. They looked really good, and then a couple of weeks later we went through and checked it and they only had like larvae that had just like hatched, which means she probably had died in the last like 3 or 4 days. I don't know. So I don't know what happened there, but whatever it was, they're now queenless. So I decided let's just go through, tear down all the emergency cells and then graft into it. And at that point I was kind of tired of grafting and not getting a good take. So I was like, just throw them in there, thinking there really wouldn't be a good take. But I went back, I think it was 24 hours or so after I had grafted, just to see what was going on and see if maybe they even took it. And the take looked pretty good. And I was really confused, but I think it's just the time of the year really matters when it comes to grafting because the weather always kind of depends. But anyways, I talk about these all the time. The bar that we have them on, we get them from also Man Lake, I believe it is. And then the little extra frame pieces are from Amazon. Now, I did notice that they were really spicy. They were not very nice, but I don't know, I don't really care at this point if they're nice or mean. As long as they build out these grafts, then I don't really care. Okay, so we've got some funny stuff going on here. Now, it looks like I missed, sometimes it also, like, maybe you didn't miss it, they just end up taking it out. Like, after 24 hours, it looked like I had missed one, maybe two. Now it looks like we've missed a couple here. And also, by the time I put these into the cell bars and put them in the incubator, I'm gonna go through and I'll pull that cell off actually and look at the queen, and you'll know immediately if she's dead or not. So we're still gonna lose a few here in the next couple weeks. But anyways, one of these, the larva might have fallen because they built it out really big. So that might be a little interesting to put into a cell protector there, but they look pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to I put my finger behind the back of it and I pull it up and it just pops out of there. So I'm going to show you how we do this. Now, if you put it into the sun, you can see that larva immediately, and she looks really good. I mean, I don't think you'll be able to see it on camera, but I can see her. She's white, and one of the things that we'll do later on in the year is, not in the year, the next couple of days, we'll actually pull those cells off. I've done a video on that with Corey before. It's getting to be a little bit more popular actually. I'm going to set this one down, and then I'm going to grab another one, maybe two, and then I'm going to put them into these cell protectors to show you what that looks like. Now, one of the things that I know we have been told a lot recently, or over the last couple of years, like especially when we first got into beekeeping, is you don't even want to touch these cells. Like, you want them to go in that hive the second you graft, and then you don't pull them out for another few days until they're capped and ready to go. Now, I'm starting to learn that that's not really that true. Now, don't listen to me and don't quote me on that, but like, you can pull these cells off and check those queens and they're perfectly fine. Of course, you want to be gentle, but I know I used to say that you don't even want to touch these cells, but really you can move them around and set them down and they'll be perfectly fine. So anyways, with that being said, let's take one of these cell protectors here. This just helps to make sure that they're not getting bumped or ruined. I know, like, some people will just take this cell and they'll just put it right down into that hole. You can do that. I've done it before, but it's really risky. So that's why they make these cell protectors, and they're really great to make sure you're not ruining that cell. So they just fit perfectly down in there. And now that cell's not going to get smushed or anything. And then just goes straight into this bar. This is a really long bar. We'll actually cut it in half sometimes. But anyway, let's just do that on a couple more here. It's pretty warm outside, so I'm not worried about them getting chilled or anything. Now, if it is a little bit cooler, I would recommend doing this right next to your incubator so you can put them in immediately. So there's 3. I mean, it's really fast. If you're doing a lot of cells, it can get to be annoying, but when you're not doing too many, it's something that I would really recommend doing just to make sure that, like, you're keeping them safe. And then you just lay them in there. Now, you want to make sure that they're all going the same way. Notice how all these bars are going the same way. That just helps to make sure that they all fit in there perfectly. So that's it. And then you can actually just put this whole thing into the hive. Whenever you're putting it into your splits or whatever it is, you can just take this cell protector out and put it into that hive right in between those frames, and she'll come out from the bottom there, which again, that's really nice because you don't have to pull them off or anything. And you can reuse these bars. I know some people that do, and some people actually boil them to get all of the just wax and everything off of it. Our bees are a little crazy and they tend to build comb all over it. So I don't usually reuse them, but they're pretty cheap. But I think that's kind of it. So I'm gonna go through, pull the rest of these cells out, put them in the protectors, and then we're gonna put them in our incubator. And then I'm gonna go in right away today after I pull them out and graft again. And we'll just keep doing that until they basically stop. I'll probably do another 2 rounds and then I'll end up putting a queen in here and calling it good. But so that's what our queen rain looks like a little bit after we put them into the cell protectors. They're just going to go into nukes, but I think that's all. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'll put all those links in the description. Whatever I said I was going to do, it'll be down in there, thanks to my mom. But anyways, thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures, and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.